two. Ms. Duffield, she's not going to be able to join us tonight. She had a conflict. So we'll move on to Health Department. Ms. Garrett.
Hello.
How are you? Hi.
Well, it's October, so I'll give you a few guesses of what we're going to talk about.
I had my flu shot yesterday.
Yay! Good for you. Good for you. Yes, flu season is upon us, and it's time to start getting our flu shots. Both the clinics have received plenty of vaccines, Smyrna and Murfreesboro. We're doing them on a walk-in basis from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday at both the sites.
Is there a fee?
There is. If your family does not have insurance, then it will slide accordingly to your income and your family size. It's $30 for the injectable and $40 for the mist that some people use. But again, that will slide if your family needs that to happen. If you have insurance, we're able to file directly to TennCare, Blue Care, Cigna, Medicare with no supplement, and Community Health Alliance. And then other than those, we can give you a receipt. You can file for it if you'd like. But that's available. And of course, it's recommended for everyone 6 months and up. And for babies that are under 6 months, you put a vaccination circle around them. Everyone who takes care of them gets vaccinated, and that protects them. So it's real important. It's the #1 reason. I know you guys have heard this many times from me. The #1 way to prevent the flu is to get your flu vaccination. So just have to start out in October every year reminding us about the flu shots. I do have my report for you guys as well for this month, or for August. And you'll start to see some of the immunization numbers go up due to the flu vaccine when we start to do that. Some of our PPI or prevention projects that we're working on, we've really been busy working on the daycare initiative that I talked to you about last time we met, and several tobacco initiatives. They've asked us to actually present these initiatives that we've been doing to the state and kind of share our ideas, because they've been successful and we've had a lot of good prevention that's been occurring. We're still tackling those 3 major things that we discovered in our community needs assessment that we do with St. Thomas and Vanderbilt, and that's the big 3+1, you know, obesity, inactivity, poor food choices, and drug and alcohol addictions, tobacco. Those are our main ones that are really causing us to lose our neighbors and community members early, and to have more health issues. So we're tackling all of those with prevention, trying to prevent it on the end instead of having to try to treat them once they're diagnosed. So that's where you'll see those PPI or primary prevention initiatives there, and those numbers are going up as we would expect. The staff is spending at least 5% of their work week on prevention, trying to make sure we're focusing on that.
Any questions for Ms. Garrett? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, one more thing. We have, you know, where we do our mayor's walks, where we have our elected officials come out to the different areas in the community and kind of try to encourage each district to have a walking place and encourage that. So the next one is October 24th at Kittrell Elementary. And that'll be at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a Saturday. It usually doesn't take, you know, very long. We just do a mile. Any level of exercise person can come out, and we'll go at your pace. It's basically what our goal is, to try to go to all of the 21 county commission districts and show people in their area where they can have a walking trail, or where there's a good place that they can get out and walk. They don't have to drive to town, or they don't have to go to a gym. They can just find some good places right in their own community. So just wanted to invite the public and you guys to that as well.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mayor, did you want to give the community care report?
I think I mentioned to you last time that Community Care had a survey by the state of Tennessee, and they had some difficulties they found within our application and use of restraints. And the center did make its report, a plan of correction to the state, which they accepted. And in turn, the state has to send that on to the federal survey team just for their confirmation, which they didn't quite agree with the state's findings. So in any event, they required us to actually hire an independent consultant to come in and review our plan of correction and review what we had done with respect to what we said we were going to do with that plan of correction. That's all been done. September 15th, the lady has submitted her report, and now it's being reviewed by Medicare out of Atlanta. So I think everything's going to be fine. They have made remarkable progress in reducing the number of restraints. I think they're only down to one part-time restraint, so they've addressed all the issues, and we think everything will ultimately be okay. So otherwise, it's doing really good. They got 117 patients, so stable with respect to that. So that's about the extent of the report.
Very good, thank you. Okay, Ms. Dillon, you want to do special projects?
Need a motion?
Oh, I do. I'm sorry, we need a motion to approve the community care report.
All right, motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, on the capital project reports, I reviewed it. I don't see anything that is glaring or outstandingly scary. I'm here to answer questions. If I don't know, Jeff will know.
Any big changes in the last month or so?
I don't think so. I don't think it was. It's just some payment of some bills and probably some contracts would have been it.
Okay, so not a lot of movement on this one.
No.
Any questions from Ms. Nolan?
Madam Chairman, I'm new to this committee this year. Could you give me a really brief update as to what projects are on this report?
Okay, yes.
Just brief.
If you go to page 2, there's a project listing.
That's where I am.
If you go to right here, the 14, 15, that we're reporting on, all these that were, and some of them are pretty much complete. You say you're new to this committee, but the things that I look for when I'm looking at this report, in the column titled Not Obligated, B to C, if you see negatives at the bottom line, that's the cause for concern. That means that we have obligated more than what money that we had allocated. Now you'll see some that have negatives within, but there's money in the projects that typically, for instance, let me find one. When you look at John Coleman on page 4 and Roy Waldron, the budget right now is in total. Later, they'll come back, the school board will come back and flesh these out, but the idea is to make sure that they don't expend more than the project. So
Thank you.
that's the key, is look for the negatives
Thank you.
in the bottom line.
We also look for any surpluses when the project's closed
Yeah,
out.
when the price is closed, that's the other thing, is when you're looking for money.
Yeah.
And you can tell that those at front when C and D equal, and you know that the project's done, and you look over in the final column, if there's money in the last 2, then that's your available money.
I had a question about John Coleman. That might be better off with Director Odom or Mr. Sandvik or something, but where are we on John Coleman? I know we're waiting on the Corps of Engineers to...
He went from one office to another one up there, so we're waiting to, I don't know why.
But the whole project is basically on hold at this time, is it not?
That's what we got.
What about our contractor? Are we good with that?
Gary continues to communicate with him, he's okay right now.
That is, construction prices are easing upward, at least in the residential sector. I would think they are in this type of thing also, and I would hate to lose our contractor and have to go back and rebid and cost us a bunch of money, but you're dealing with the federal government. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Frustrating, I know.
It's water issues, drainage issues.
It was a 500-year floodplain. They redrew lines and things after that 2010 flood and all this. Really more in the where the building sits. It's really not in that plain, but it's where water flows to it, to the lake and stuff. So having to take some of that account. So.
Move to approve the report, Madam Chairman.
Good. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so
Yes.
Lisa.
Thanks. All right, school board?
Well, maybe you heard the announcement today, Buchanan Elementary is a National Blue Ribbon School,
Awesome.
which is really good. Only 6 in Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Got that, and a few across the country. That's our 3rd one in 10 years. You had Holloway, you had McFadden, and you now have Buchanan Elementary.
What did they have to do to
So
get
really-
that designation?
They really got it this year for gap closing, which is between all of your students and kids in a particular group of students, say special education or something, being able to move them at a fast pace to do that. So it's a really good recognition
That's awesome.
to do that. State was at Smyrna Elementary last week, filming some of them on response to intervention to train other teachers in the state. So I thought that was a really good one to talk about it.
You do anything to celebrate?
Yes, we will. They do not go to Washington until, you'll be glad to know this, the state's furnishing them a grant money, $2,500 to get 2 people from Buchanan to Washington, so the state's coming to do that one. And they're planning a reception or something out there. We'll have them at our school board meeting. But November is actually when they receive the banner and the certificate to do it.
Very cool.
The computer installation's going very well. In fact, we should finish up, I think, the furniture and stuff this week. Coming along, not a single school district in Tennessee they told us Friday would be giving the paper test. Everybody's been at least to get up to that minimum thing to do it. So everybody's been able, and Thursday is Break Mist Day. Mist is a platform that students take the test on, so they want students all over the state logging in heavy numbers to see if the bandwidth and everything will carry it. I can't think of a better way to test something than a bunch of kids turn loose on it. So it may be an interesting day. Okay, we only have one item tonight, and this is a revised capital project list for 2015 and 16. The major capital project fund 177 list has been revised based on the budget and the revenue approved by the Rutherford County Commission on June 26, 2015. The new total is $3,833,049, which includes $184,534 for the 2014-15 projects that weren't completed as of June 30th, 2015. Part of it was the share monies, and Ms. Nolan told you about it at the time. So we do need to revise that, and our second sheet, and probably yours too, has the new projects that Mr. Clardy has placed on it. If you have a question about anything there.
It's more rearranged projects.
It is.
Some priorities came up that we had to move on.
So the 3.8 is no new expenses, you found some revenue
No,
from
it's
closed jobs, just
We bring
Put it in the right
forward this
place.
listing. These are the projects we intend to fund
Use it for.
with this budget. It's no new money in or anything.
Just an updated list.
We're just doing the carryover basically, aren't we, adding in?
Pardon?
184,534 is
I didn't
carryover
want
from
to go
mine.
into fund, normally we take that out of fund balance. Figured since we already used fund balance for this 3.8.
But that's where that revision comes from, is the project
Yes,
that
that's
weren't
part
finished
of it. Part
on the
of it.
last budget year.
Yeah, but normally we just take that out of fund balance. Just save some fund balance for next year in this fund.
The new item on there is the gold safety straps. That's something new. You may have noticed that.
I did see that. What is that?
That's actually our. We were written up by the county in their inspections. You know all the crank up goals around the county. You now have to go back and put a webbed strap on it so that if the cable were to break or something, they couldn't just fall and immediately swing down and hurt somebody in the audience or something like that was sitting in a bleacher. So it's
I
really a
think-
safety thing.
County General should have paid for that. So.
That's 140,000.
Yes, think of how many of those there are.
That's a lot
Oh,
of
they're
expensive
just
straps.
special strap.
Yeah,
Has there been
probably
any
is.
incidents anywhere?
I asked Gary that we don't know of anywhere where we've had it in our district.
so is it motorized? If the cable goes up, does this strap?
Well,
is it
some
on
of them are
motor?
cranked, some of them are
Yeah.
motorized, some are cranked.
But these new cables,
Well,
this
it
new
is
straps,
a
rather, are they all
strap to,
motor?
No, it's
No.
a strap to it's like,
I
think of it as a
understand- I
seat
understand it's a
belt.
safety strap, but if
It's
the
gotta
guard-
have some way to tighten it, or somebody has to
Yeah.
get up on a ladder and hook it or
Yeah, I'm
something.
just curious
You
how-
know, so.
I don't know
Must
exactly
be
how that
mechanized.
mechanism
For
is.
140,000, I hope we're getting some sort of mechanism. It's
There is some mechanism to it,
Yeah,
I know. It's
instead of
not
somebody
just
taking a
belt.
ladder out there and climbing up and hooking it every time.
I told Mr. Clardy I liken that too. When you're pulling the trailer, you have to have it. It's like a chain,
Safety
you know,
chain.
just in case. So it is. That's what it is. It's a safety piece.
Belt and suspenders.
How many people have we had injured by falling goals?
See, I'm thinking we did have one,
I don't recall.
but it did not
myself.
fall, but
Cable broke.
the cable, I'm thinking we had one where the cable broke in the last 2 years, but nothing fell. But that probably triggered the,
I was thinking about nationwide too, you know, because this should be a nationwide thing, not just local.
I do have just one comment. The Central Magnet School is in my district downtown. And I've just been made aware that there are some faucets, some plumbing issues, some relatively minor issues, some door locks aren't functioning, things like that. Is it something that I can speak to Mr. Clardy about, or?
Sure, but if they turn it in, we have a work order system, and they're pretty good about doing it. They finished up. I mean, you approved a few months ago the new steam line or hot water line you had to run under the road. That's been done. There were
Like it's
several of
already
those
been
projects
done.
were completed
Well, there's-
over the summer.
Okay, I'm gonna get with him. There may have been a parking lot extension or expansion that anticipated that didn't occur. Are you
hoped
familiar?
for,
Sorry?
hoped
It was a
for.
hope for, so it was. Of course, as their numbers have gone up and they have more students driving, when they added more of the juniors and seniors, they have pressure on it.
Work orders for items like that that are not on this list. Is there a fund, a budget for,
But that's his regular,
Unexpected.
yeah. These are major capital
right?
projects, but now he has a regular maintenance budget that covers those other.
Okay, just general
Mhm.
day-to-day maintenance.
Any more questions?
It's $184,000. It's higher than what was on the original budget.
You know, these are just each year, because in this fund, we liquidate our purchase orders as of July 1. So we will have projects from the previous year that we are finishing up in the summer. This is just the money to finish those projects.
And when that's coming from.
And we're fitting it within this total budgeted expenditure number this year. Normally, we've taken it out of fund balance.
So it's already there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, we'll take a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
Does that include this budget transfer or whatever that is?
Yes.
Okay. I'll second it.
Okay, very good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you, sirs. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I asked Becky. Becky said no.
Well, this one's not wrinkled up. I had it in my coat pocket.
All right, we're gonna welcome, excuse me, some folks from Linebaugh Library, and they're gonna talk to us about the Community Technology Center that's in the works there. So you got, go ahead and come up. We've got Miss Rita Shacklett, Christy Lee, and Gary Green. And I've had the privilege of already hearing this, and I think you're gonna be really excited about this presentation.
Commissioners, my name is Gary Green. I am the vice chair of your Linebaugh Library Board. Christy Lee is our chairman. Of course, everybody knows Rita Shacklett, who's our director. But I'm excited to bring to you tonight a project that your library board's been working on for about 2 years. It's the working title is Community Technology Center. We'd like to get a more flashy name for it when we get this thing built. But like I said, we've been working on it for about 2 years. The board, 2 years ago, decided that we needed a technology initiative in our library. We were falling behind the times in technology. And I see you guys are well connected here. But we did a lot of research and determined that there is a bridge or a gap that we want to bridge between literacy and technology in Rutherford County. This came to light to us through the Census Bureau report of computer and internet use that came out in 2013. This was a very detailed document that included geographies of populations of 65,000 or more people in their community. And it told us that as a whole in the United States, about 1/4 of the households in the United States do not have ready high-speed internet connections in their homes. When you get to the South, that jumps to about 29%. Then we start looking at household educations. If you get to households that only have a high school education, that's jumping up to about 39%. And then when you get to those that have less than a high school education, it's an astounding 57%. This report also told us that our area fit that demographics very closely. There was very little significant difference in the statistics there. We've done a lot of research over the last 2 years, and we came across a project that is in San Antonio, Texas, called Bibliotech. They have a mission statement that I'd like to read to you. It's to provide all residents the opportunity to access technology and its applications for the purpose of enhancing education and literacy, promoting reading as recreation, and equipping residents of the community with the necessary tools to thrive as citizens of the 21st century. This was exactly the direction that our library board decided that we needed to go with the projects that we were looking at. I think that you guys are using internet every day, but you think the uses that are needed, complete schoolwork, locate and apply for jobs, access healthcare information, personal recreation, and relationships through social media. This reaches all ages, all ethnic backgrounds, all citizens. The library board decided that we needed to set up a community technology committee. And Rita, I believe you brought some literature that we'd like to pass out. But
That way.
when you get this, you'll look at the back of this particular pamphlet. First, you'll see the folks that agreed to serve on this committee. You may notice a couple of names on there. Commissioner Bond is with us tonight, supporting us, and he's been serving on this committee. Also, Commissioner McAdoo is on this committee. And it's been a working committee. We've had several meetings. We've met with Mayor Burgess. We've been meeting with Murfreesboro City Mayor. We've met with City Council. We've met with City School Board representatives. Our target area for this particular project has always been in between the Main Street and Bradwell Road area. So we felt like that was the area that had the significant void in internet usage, basically based on the Census Bureau report that we.
What is it boarded by again? I'm sorry, Bradwell Pike and what?
Bradwell Pike and Main Street. But our main target was the Mercury Boulevard corridor our entire time. We felt like that was the best area, mainly because of transportation issues. We could use Rover. Also, basically, children could use bicycles and go to that area. We started targeting into the Hobgood Elementary School area. We met with the Murfreesboro City School administration. They were very excited about this and actually suggested that we use some of their property. So we went to the City School Board. They agreed completely with us. And then we went to the City Council. They agreed with us. So they have given us a long-term lease on some property on the backside of Hobgood School. So now we have a place for it. It was a place that we were looking for all the time. So now we've got to build this thing out of the ground, and that's the reason we're here tonight. We would like to, with your blessings, go to the County Commission and ask for $400,000 to help us with this project. It is about a $1.7 million project. You have a picture there of the building that has been designed for us. The building itself is about $1.2 million. And then for the equipment and the technology to put in that building, it's another $500,000. We're going to ask for, again, with your blessing, to go to the commission. The $400,000 would then also would be matched $400,000 by the city of Murfreesboro, and then we're going to a foundation for another $800,000, and then $100,000 from the state of Tennessee to come up with $1.7 million. It's all contingent on all four of those pieces coming together. We see this as not only a usage for those people that don't have internet, but even those that do. We see it as a small business incubator. Did you bring a picture of the inside of the building? Do they have that? Mm-hmm. Look on the inside of the building. One of the problems we see in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County is the lack of small meeting spaces, and we have actually 4 medium-sized meeting spaces in this building, and then also a technology training center inside of there also. So we see that during the day, this could be a small business incubator where we have small business people, single proprietors that are now going to coffee shops or somewhere like that and leaning over a laptop trying to meet with vendors or meeting with customers. And they can actually go in and online from their home, reserve one of these rooms with their library card, and come and meet their clients, plug their laptops into our audio video resources, and maybe in an hour take care of their business there. So we feel like that it would be an enhancement for small business folks. We will develop and deliver technology training using MTSU interns, so we feel like it's going to help the MTSU programs that those students can come over and actually train our citizens in the use of computers. Of course, the researching for job opportunities is always important. I don't know anywhere now that you can go and just walk in and apply for a job. You have to go in and computer and fill out that application. They don't want to see you in person until they've selected you from there. But also being able to research those jobs. Also, it'd be a resource for lifetime learners. Folks can go in and learn maybe a foreign language, or maybe it's a parent that has a child that's learning English as a second language that wants to go in during the day and learn English as a second language themselves. Folks that may have relatives across the country that don't have ready access but want to get on social media to see pictures of their grandchildren in California or wherever they are, anywhere in the world. They would become available to them also. Again, small group meeting spaces. Students can come after school in small groups and work on projects that they don't have ready resources to do elsewhere, and they can, again, with their library card, check that room out for an hour prior to arriving and know that it's available for them. Or adults that want to meet for a book club or something like that. It's a meeting space. One of the things that we found at the library is folks are always calling us saying, do you have a place where we can meet? Well, the answer is no, we don't. And maybe when we move some of our technology out, we can build out some of that there and actually build some more rooms and meet the needs of citizens of Rutherford County. Families can come in with their smaller children. They start teaching their smaller children technology at an early age. There is a children's area also in this project. We'll have age-specific equipment for them. Parents can come in and check out e-readers, similar to something that you have here. It will have age-specific resources, electronic books on there that they can check out and use with their children, or check it out for themselves with current periodicals. Something we're already doing now is we'll will actually loan out hotspots. So if you're going off on vacation and want to stay connected, you can come to the library now and check out a hotspot and use it for a week. Create your own internet network there. That's something else that we can extend through this program and project.
Hotspot, what's a hotspot? You talking about a jetpack or something like that?
Oh, something like that.
It's a mobile Wi-Fi device that gives you access to.
Thank you.
That's what all my district uses,
They use a jetpack, I don't know.
because we don't have internet out in District 8.
And we use it on the bookmobile too.
I could go on. I mean, the usage of this building could go on and on, but you know, this is something that everything that I mentioned will help the citizens of Rutherford County. It's going to improve their life skills and enhance their station in life, that we believe. Some people think this may be the library of the future. I don't know. Some people are calling it a bookless library. I prefer to say it's a shelfless library, because there will be books in the library, because every e-reader will have books on it. Every computer they go to, they can pull a book up on it and read it. We've had a commitment from our foundation that they are going to help us the first 3 years with the operational expenses. We always wanted this to be a public-private endeavor, and that's one reason we're here tonight, looking for the public side of it. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to
This is
answer.
modeled after San Antonio.
Yes.
How does their center in size compare to what you're proposing here?
Theirs is a little larger. They have actually 48 computers. We're proposing a 36 computer
And
standard.
How big is San Antonio compared to Murfreesboro?
It's much bigger. I really don't know the exact population. This is actually in Bexar County. Bexar County did not have a library, and a judge in Bexar County decided that this is what they needed, and their county government provided the building and all the resources to build the one there. Bexar County being part of the county outside of San Antonio.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
When we're looking at the building, we'll be looking at, can we get electricity, can we get water, can we get sewer? But since this is gonna be a technology center, is the pipe for technology available, readily available there?
And
It is.
this is actually on the school campus, and they're already building an addition to the school. So a lot of the groundwork's being laid for the school, because it's in a floodplain, so they're
No,
already
no,
having.
I'm talking about the
But
data.
the fiber
pipe.
optics and
The
all of that
fiber
will be
optics
there.
are already there.
Yes.
We understand that it's within a couple of 100 yards. They won't tell us exactly where it is. I don't know whether that's a security issue, but they tell us it's very close. It actually goes from somewhere at MTSU over to somewhere on Manchester Highway.
As far as you mentioned the first 3 years of operational costs were going to be covered. How much is that, and what would your plan be on the fourth year?
Like the library, it is publicly supported. The first 3 years, we are looking at about a $250,000 a year annual budget.
But this would not be a revenue generator. I mean, you wouldn't charge for the rooms. There'd be no revenue generator. I would envision no revenue generated whatsoever.
Exactly,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, because there wouldn't be fines, but the hotspots.
Well,
we
maybe
charge-
if somebody didn't return something on time,
Very
it could be
minor,
a,
yeah, very minor.
Yeah.
Very minor. And a
Yeah.
lot of the things that are in the budget for this are already in our budget now, for databases and things like that. That's already, the IT people, that's already in our existing budget right now, because we're using that now.
Approximately how many computers are in the library now? And how-
System-wide, we have 116 or something like that.
You said there'd be 36.
There's 36, yes.
36.
And
Would
there
this be
is-
36 additional, or would some of the ones you've got be moved over there?
Some will be moved over there, but we are actually gonna replace all of them with IMAX. And then they will have a software called Parallels, which allows you to select whatever operating system. If you use a Mac and you prefer a Mac, when you sit down at that computer, you choose that operating system. If you use a PC and you want Windows, you select that. And it can have up to like 7 or 8 different operating systems. But they'll all be the same computer. And so some of the ones, we're planning on doing that throughout the whole system, so we have one type of computer, and it's all imaged the same way.
And that can reduce your wait time.
Yeah.
If you're waiting.
instead of having a row of Macs here and then a row of PCs, and you
You
have
can
to
go to
wait.
any machine.
You
Right.
can go to any machine and run it any way you want to. We'll have 3D printers. We'll also be able, because we probably won't open until like 10, we're working out with the schools so that they can bring their students over earlier before we open and work with CAD software, things that will go along with the STEM and the STEAM curriculum that they're using in the schools, because they can't afford it in the schools. And we're hoping that this will be a pilot project that can be used as a model for other schools, school campuses. As we because somebody said, what do you do when you outgrow this? And I said, well, we just build another one in another section of the county.
Apparently his district needs one now. They're on hotspot.
No, we need fiber optics. No fiber optics out there.
Where are those
No
other
fiber
satellites?
optics.
You mentioned 130 computers.
We have, and actually, thank you, because that was the other piece, is right down, literally just a few steps down the street is in Patterson Park Community Center. We have a branch, and they have about 12 computers there. So we felt like we could cut back on the number here because we wanted to increase the number of meeting rooms. Bear County only has 2 small ones. And when I talked with the director, she said if she could do something different, it would be to add more meeting rooms, but they didn't have the space. We also have the main library, which is about two miles away from where this would be. We have one in Smyrna. We have a branch in Smyrna, about a 22,000 square foot building, and we have a branch in Eagleville. And then we have a bookmobile, one of 3 in the state of Tennessee. We're very proud of that.
I visited Bibliotech in March of last year, and its location in Bear County, my wife and I went down there, and as we were driving there, we started seeing bars on houses, and really didn't think a lot about that, and then started seeing bars on businesses, didn't think a lot about that, and then started seeing bars on churches and started getting a little nervous. When we got there, it was a very nice building, it was relatively new at that time, and there were probably 5 or 6 people actually using computers at the time, mostly older folks in there doing some research. But we got there about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, stayed till about 4:30, and I noticed around 3:15, 3:30, a lot of middle school age, high school age students coming in there. And when we left, it was about 98% capacity. Most of these kids rode their bikes there, very well mannered, obviously working themselves out of the situation that they were in. I'm thankful that I don't think there's anywhere in Rutherford County that's like that, but we still feel like that there's a great need, basically using the Census Bureau report, that there's a large majority of Rutherford County citizens do not have access to internet. Everybody has a phone, large percentage, but I'd hate to have to be doing a term paper, something like that, using a cell phone doing research.
The $250,000 operating budget is reoccurring, and it'll probably get larger as time goes by. Where's that money coming from?
The first 3 years
No.
afterwards,
Yep.
we'll be looking to both the city of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, just like you're funding the library now.
Okay.
And we know you guys can't commit to a $250,000 budget 3 years from now, but we will be, that was the idea going forward, that we want to make sure that this will work. We feel like 3 years of statistics will prove that it is worth every penny that we put into it. If not, we'll go into a different direction. We've discussed with the city of Murfreesboro, if this goes away, that they will pay back any portion that, if they take it over as a part of the school, that they will pay back pro rata anything of the $400,000 that the county's put in.
What is the radius you think the students would come into, mile radius, 2 miles, 5 miles, and so forth, into this new?
Well, with Rover and public transportation, I really don't know. It could be citywide.
Yeah, which, it's open to the county, but it's hard for the outer part of the county to come in.
Yes, ma'am.
That's where I'm looking at, you know. People from Eagleville, people from Smyrna and Las Casas and so forth, it's gonna be hard for them to come in, the students.
Of course, right now, Eagleville does have a branch. It is small, but they do have computers there.
Now, Laverne Library and the senior citizens teach computer. Now, they've been teaching it for a couple of years. So, and here they teach different languages too. So, what I'm trying to convey, if I vote on this, I got to vote for the whole county, not for just a section.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the hope is too, is that we find that this is so positive. Bear County, within a year, opened a small branch in the jury room. And so when it's not being used by the jury, it's open to the public to come in and use the computers. So what we're hoping is, even without building other buildings, that we can find space out in the county to be able to give them some extras. I know Smyrna's really interested in it. And there's lots, we see empty buildings all the time. So we're hoping that we'll be able to do some things like that on a smaller scale without having to commit to a lot of money and staff and that type of thing, that we'll be able to put that into these little areas.
The $400,000 that's being recommended, is that needed in one lump sum over a term of time? If so, how long of a term of time? I know MTSU approached us a few years ago for help with the science building, and we weren't able to do what they asked, but we were able to give something over 3 years, I think. Motlow, we did something very similar. We did it over a couple of years because, we have to be stewards of the taxpayer dollars.
Certainly.
And but I'm just wondering, but this is on somewhat of a fast track. You probably need the money, would hope to get the money up front or within a year or something like that.
We feel like it will probably be over 2 fiscal years.
You also mentioned finding space. Of course, that gets complicated because you have to have enough space to justify staff, with other places. But I would just wonder if that would be a good first step instead of jumping completely into the building. I'm a crawl before you walk kind of guy, and I'm just wondering if there would be a classroom in Walter Hill or something, or a EMA room in a part of a ambulance station somewhere on Burton Street or something, just wherever, and that you could, fit 4 computers, but then you've got to have a staff member there or something, somebody to manage it. So.
And that's a valid point, but I think that's really what our public libraries are doing right now. And this just goes that next step, and we stay packed. Every branch stays packed. Their computers. We have people waiting in the lobbies in the morning. So I think we've kind of done that first step, and we teach computer classes, things like that already. So I think this is that next step up, and it offers the meeting rooms that we get such a demand for, that we just don't have the space anywhere. None of our facilities have space for meeting, and that's one of the biggest things we get calls for. And we have to turn them away because we just don't have anything.
Did I understand that you say you're going to have 3D printers?
We already have them, actually. They will be rolled out probably to the public within the next couple of months, that you'll be able to come in and take a class. You can do your projects and hand them to the IT staff and have them printed off. So yeah, they want bigger ones when they get here, but we've got smaller ones right now.
What is the plan, as chairman, to take this from here to budget, from here straight to the commission? Will this committee to make a recommendation, or?
Yeah, it would have to go through budget. We need to, everybody needs it. This is the education process. So this is kind of the step that we go through. This is the first time we've heard about it. If you need more time, if you have questions, if you want to go, to the line ball and visit or talk, this is kind of our due diligence phase. So if you're comfortable going ahead and advancing it to budget, we can certainly do that. If not, then that's the wishes of the committee. One of the comments I wanted to make about revenue, though, when we had a chance to meet, because science and technology is such, the focus is going forward. We've got the new technology center going up in Smyrna. You've got, Bridgestone that's working with, is it Laverne High School that they're working with on their it's the technical program, or is it model?
Robotics.
Yeah, the robotics.
Mechatronics.
Yeah,
It's
Bridgestone.
Oakland and Siegel are most of the
Okay.
mechatronics.
Okay, but there was a Bridgestone relationship as well.
Mhm.
But anyway, I'm just saying, we're ramping up in that area, and we're gonna have to continue to be more competitive. If Beth Duffield had been here tonight, she would talk to you about the fact that we have employers who don't have employees to employ because they don't have the skills that they need in this area. So, the sooner we lay that groundwork, the sooner those people, as they continue to graduate, are gonna be prepared for, that workforce, those future jobs. I really think that we could get some corporate sponsorships. I think you could get, corporations to sponsor, some of the meeting rooms. Maybe even get somebody to be, the headliner on it. I think you could definitely get some donations. There's enough of those kinds of, industries, businesses in that industry here that I think we could get some donations.
Christy Houston be a possible avenue.
Well, they're in for half of this if they get a commitment from
Yeah.
the city.
You didn't mention a name, but I was wondering about that.
And the way their year runs, it's a calendar year, so we were talking with them, and if we can get the commitment before the end of this year, and they can fund half of it in this calendar year and the other half after January. And that's, the same goes, because our fiscal year is gonna start over in July here, so, we would probably get enough, to answer your question earlier, we'd probably get enough initially to proceed with the project, and then by the time July 1 gets here, we could have the other piece.
Well, personally, I think it's a great idea, but I'm not ready to vote for $400,000 and $250,000 of recurring expense, which probably half of that would be ours at this moment in time. I mean, I need some digestion time. There's a lot of good organizations that come up here, especially the charitable organizations, the senior centers, and all that we hold pretty tight on their budget, which do great things also. We just spent over $3 million on new computers for the school system, and hopefully some of these same kids are getting good use out of them. So, I would ask you not to send it to budget yet, personally, but in my opinion, I would like to see this committee study this and come back next month and maybe make us, and that's just one committee member speaking, but I'm not personally think it's a little fast for me to spend that kind of money.
I would echo that. I think we need a little time to digest some of this.
Is that your motion?
I want to hear what everybody says.
I've got several concerns. Number one is how is it going to be perceived, us as a county spending as much as the city spends when it's going to benefit city's kids?
Okay.
And I'm a city commissioner, so it'll benefit my kids.
Right.
But I can understand how the rest of the commissioners might feel about that. So I'm thinking that 400 and 400 is skewed, and it needs to be more city than it does county. It would be my impression, and I was thinking half of that 400 would be maybe all I'd want to do, and the city's going to have to come up with the rest of it. Something like that, if this is a better idea. So that would be a proposal or something that I would be more than willing to entertain versus that full amount. I'm also concerned about spending brick and mortar money when we're trying our best to figure out how we're going to pay for judicial buildings, and how we're going to pay for new ambulance services, and how we're going to pay for new jails, and how we're going to pay for all this stuff. And when it comes right down to it, I'm just not real sure that this would be as high on my priority list as some of those things that's reactive. And I know this is preventive. I know it is, and that's the way you guys are presenting it. But that's how I would take a look at this. Is that we're being asked every month by every department to expand. And if we're 650,000 people in 25 years from now, something's going to have to expand, and I agree with that 100%. But I've got a concern from a county perspective, whose clientele this center would really serve. And I realize that the Linebaugh Library is part of our business, the county business, but it's also services the satellite libraries that we talked about a little bit earlier, that services those other communities, and this one really would not at this particular point in time. And that would be a concern that I would have, and somebody would have to change my mindset right now that $400 an equal share with the city of Murfreesboro is to me a little bit skewed, and we would need to address that in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
I have another question. Have you looked at the possibility, or is there any facilities already that could be renovated, lessen the cost of the brick and mortar, and be able to spend more of this on the actual services to the clientele?
We actually looked at some leasing property. Unfortunately, none of the grants, including Christie Houston, will give you any money on leased buildings. And most of them would, in that area, would need such renovation or build-out costs that would not be included, that this is cheaper than going that route.
That offer from the city to use city-owned property is a big commitment on their part. In addition to the funding, it's a big commitment on their part. But that property's been sitting there for as long as I've been alive, not having anything done on it anyway. So it'd be just as well to have something on it, I'd say. So it is a big commitment on the city's part, and I don't want to not mention that or overlook that, because it is a big commitment, a big financial commitment, I think, on their part as well.
I commend your efforts and what you're talking about here, what you're doing, and I totally understand the figures you brought here tonight as far as where everybody is as far as modern technology is concerned, because I've spent time in that discussion and seen where it is, and you know, I sort of joked here with the fact of the hotspot and whatever, but that's very true out there where I'm at right now, because there is not internet out there. I mean, I've sat there and seen school children sitting there with hotspots getting homework where they have to turn it off because it's gotten so hot it's melting, because they've sat there and used that so long. And I operate on one myself. I can't watch the sessions here without running up a tremendous bill with Verizon. But I'm familiar very much with the Linebaugh system. My parents saw the necessity of coming to the library. I'm out in far Rockvale, but my mother saw it necessary that one day every 2 weeks in the summer that she brought myself and my brother and sister to the Linebaugh Library. We picked out books, carried them home, and read them over those 2 weeks, and then we brought them back and got them. And that was a big important part of our 2 weeks, because we didn't come to Murfreesboro very often. But we come to get those books, and it put me into the writing business, and that's what I've done all my life. And in fact, when I got home from the public safety meeting last night, in my mailbox was a book. I know we're putting everything to the cloud right now, but I still like a good hard book in my hand, and I spent the afternoon reading that book. And it was from Roy Rogers' daughter, as a matter of fact, but I mean, it wasn't all that big a deal, but it's something I enjoy. And I see the importance of what we can do with this technology. But just as the other commissioners have mentioned here, I have to look at what that bottom line figure is too. And I have to look at what my constituents will say out that way too, and what we're doing. So I'd like to have time to digest it and look at it. And I do see the importance of what you're talking about there. I was just sitting here thinking, man, what that would look like sitting out in the middle of my district, that system there. But the technology is not sitting there. I do not have the fiber optic unless you built it right on the middle of Highway 99, because it's not there. So I do admire what you've done here and what you've got. And that's why I asked you about the 3D printers. That blows me away that you have those, because
and it's amazing what they can do.
And what they can do. I mean, you can actually build things from what comes out of those 3D. It's a little frightening,
Yeah,
what
it
can
is.
actually come
It
out of
is.
those, and I'm sure you have to really, will have to monitor that very closely. But I do need some time on that to see what we can do with that.
Does tabling the discussion require a motion?
No, I mean, this is just a presentation. Nobody's made a motion yet.
We don't have to have a motion, correct?
No?
To-
Okay. I would like to be able to give them some direction in terms of
I agree.
timelines, our thought process.
Thanks.
If there's any voids in the information that we need them to come back, you know, I'd like to give them sort of an action item if there's something more we need from them.
Would like to add that we are also very sensitive to the use of public funds too, and we realize that's where our funding comes from. Rita's also given you a pamphlet there that shows the return or investment of what you guys are giving for the use of the library, and I think if you look at that, you'll be very impressed with what we're turning out with the dollars you're giving us, and we remain very sensitive to the use of those funds.
I believe Commissioner Phillips mentioned being proactive compared to reactive, but being reactive is mandatory, you know, and we all want to be as proactive as we can, but you've got this weight pulling you down over being reactive because you don't have any choice but to supply the police, supply the judges, supply the judicial system and all that stuff. And I would,
Supply the gold straps.
yeah, besides the gold straps on the basketball goals, that's enough to
25% of the
do
commitment
it.
right there.
A third of this right there. But I'll make a motion, we just put this on next month's agenda
Okay.
and revisit it at that point.
I'll
in time.
second that.
I'd like to amend that to get input from the mayor's office about his impressions as it relates to funding this. So I'd like the mayor to be involved in that discussion next month.
Yeah, we could ask for a report from the mayor at the same time.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, I have the same position all of you. I very, very much support this innovative, creative, preventive idea, and I hope very much we can find a way to put it within our budget restraints that we currently have. So I can be more specific in that discussion, but
One comment before we vote. Perhaps an action on y'all's behalf is to provide us some of those details you had regarding the buildings you've looked into. I know you just said Christy Houston can't match a lease. We just have to hear more about how we can use utilizing property from the Ag Center to something downtown. So I do want y'all to have some action take, because y'all have worked, I know, diligently for years now. And here we are, you know, meeting, get some serious pushback.
Well, there's really no property per se, and if we want any money from grants anywhere, state or Christy Houston, we can't do a lease building. So we've checked with some of the Swanson property. There's not a whole lot of property in that area. And all of the Swansons, there were what, 4 pieces we looked at, 3 or 4 pieces of his property. We looked at buildings that pretty much were a gutted building, and he said, this is what it's going to cost, and you'll have to pay for the heat and air and the walls to be put up and bathrooms to be put in, and that was going to raise the cost so high, and we wouldn't be able to have any grant money. And we looked at the old Hollywood video store on Mercury, and it's not really big enough, and by the time you make improvements to it, and again, no grant money anywhere.
Commissioner Dodd, we're looking for a building in the 5,000 to 6,000 square foot range, and wanting to stay on that Mercury Boulevard corridor, we're very limited.
Yeah.
We looked
Kroger's
at,
fixed to
I heard
move
the
in Neil
Kroger, I heard the
Rose's
Kroger
building.
Right,
building. will be
and
back
we
in
actually-
There might
building.
be some sort of charitable thing through Kroger, because
We tried to talk to them,
You
they
did?
would not talk to us because they didn't want to, we had heard about the Roses property, and I
Yeah.
guess they didn't want to.
well, they're fixing to walk away from their old store, you know, when they get through. But
Yes, sir.
I don't know if they have any type of part of their organization that does any neighborhood revitalization type projects or something, but that would be what this would be basically. And I don't know, we're just sitting here brainstorming. I feel sure you all been doing this for a long time, and we're sitting here in 10 minutes, we're gonna solve all your problems.
we would be
We'll
happy
take
if
it.
you would.
Yeah.
It gratifies me that you have responses to, I know these are brainstorming, but I'm impressed. You've not only been commendable, but you've had answers for stuff we're shooting at you right now, so.
And what frustrates me is what Mr. Curley just mentioned. We just spent $140-something on straps for basketball goals in case they fall.
Yeah.
Which one has never fallen, we don't think. Maybe one, out of hundreds and hundreds of basketball goals.
Wow.
And that's a third of the money you need. We're spending on something which has been mandated to us. We don't have any choice. And whoever thought of putting a secondary strap on a basketball goal? So, it gets frustrating sometimes. A lot of times we might have a portion of the money, we don't have a choice. So let's do it. But then we don't want somebody hurt by that either. So
I'd like to see the motion voted on, if no more discussion, and know that we can't give you action to take, but I look forward to continuing to entertain the topic with you.
The other point that I wanted to make, when I met with them, we were talking about locations. It's very significant where the fiber optic line
Yeah.
is. And so even if you found a
One of my
building.
first questions.
Yeah, because I think it was going to extremely reduce the expense
Yeah.
of using that location because it's so convenient. It's like it was already pre-planned to be there, and it
if
wasn't.
it's half a mile away from that Kroger store, if they gave you the building, it'd probably be high.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That piece of property that you talked about, I was impressed when y'all said that because it's just been sitting there.
Yeah.
You guys aren't nearly as old as I am and don't think, but for all of my life, it's been
You'd
sitting
be
there.
surprised.
But you're right, it's expensive. We've been trying to get internet access at our Eagleville location. It's available across the street. We just
And
want to
next
get it
door.
brought over to us. They're going to charge us $70,000 to connect us
I
there.
know exactly.
So,
I've been fighting this and
It's
fighting this, and
ridiculous.
I've got the same.
One company has it right next door, and another company has it across the street.
If you're within
But we're in
1,500
a
feet,
dead
you can
zone.
have it.
We're in
Yeah.
a dead zone.
Yeah.
You mentioned the
I
chamber a
can,
little
I
bit
can
earlier.
get internet for $6,700 if I want.
Have they been
What?
gotten involved?
I actually, when she mentioned Beth's name, I'm on the committee for the Rutherford Reconnect, and we work very closely. Beth and I have worked quite a bit, but I'm on that committee to really work with, and we work with the Career Center and places like that, so we really try.
I just wonder if there could be an expansion of the business education partnership type of thing that could be special for something like this.
Dedicated to this?
Yeah, dedicated to this. And, I would think that the chamber would jump on something like this because of their proactive approach to building a workforce for the future. And I would highly recommend that those avenues be explored as much as they possibly could. The chamber asks us for things from time to time, so it would be good to get some input back from those guys, because there are many partners in the Chamber of Commerce that look for opportunities to have community involvement projects.
Reinvest.
And I know the Business Education Partnership sometimes really struggle to find projects for their schools that they've adopted, and it could be that there could be some kind of a special process off of that, and I'd really like to see the chamber be involved in the process as well.
I'll get with Beth.
They would really have a better view of.
Or they could get to the decision maker quicker.
Well, they could,
Yeah.
if they could raise the funds, and they've been successful at raising funds for a lot of different things.
All right. Commissioner Phillips, you had amended the motion. We need a second on that to amend it.
Can you just put
I
that?
added it to my motion.
You had two motions?
Yeah, I thought that you got. Becky's usually a mind reader.
Yeah.
I missed it.
All right. You ready to vote? All right. All in favor of tabling this to next month, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. All right. I hope you guys can join us again next month.
Thank you for your time, yes.
Appreciate it.
Let me say one more thing. You said that this center is in place, that you see how it would go, that possibly there'll be other centers in the future. And I hope that is, because as I was sitting here, I told you earlier that I was brought into Linebaugh Library to read and get books. And I've been sitting here thinking that here it is now, over 60 years since I was a child brought from Rockville to do that, to study from Linebaugh. That now when you get this center set up here, there will still be children brought from Rockville to this center. We're doing the same thing, and it's taken 60 years, and we're still doing the same thing. And I'm hoping to see that maybe more technology like this can be expanded into areas of this county. And I hope before my time's gone that I can see this in Rutherford
And
County.
I think that was the beauty of, we have a really strong partnership with the city school system, and I've been working with the county media specialist as well to get cards into the hands of students so that they can use our online resources especially. But to me, this sets a real model that can be used, because when you think about a school system where you've built, like Siegel or Blackman, where you've built an elementary school, you've built a middle school, you've built a high school, and you see how the community builds up around, because that's where people want to live, to have that as part of that school campus. The schools don't have the budgets to build things like this either. And what do those kids do? They may have the computer in the classroom, but when they get home and they don't have it, where do they go? And it doesn't cost anything. You know, you just have to have that library card. So.
But just as you said there, where to find this technology, just as electricity became a necessity as a utility, water became a necessity and a utility. Internet now is a necessity and a utility that we need within this county that parts of this county do not have.
Right. And as Mr. Green said, you know, the government provides these folks with their cell phone. And they have internet on it, but you can't take a test, you can't apply for a job on your cell phone. You just can't.
Yeah, I would urge you also to go back with the chamber, because we had a meeting, you were supposed to be there and couldn't make it, with the chamber and some people from the state and so on, about some of the available, or doing just what you're talking about, promoting broadband connectivity, and that was done through the chamber and so on, so please go back and talk with Beth and so on, because as I understand, that is supposed to continue, and we're looking at kind of, once again, as you're talking about business, private-public partnerships and so on, so we may have a couple of things going here at the same time that maybe need to get together.
Is the city committed, Murfreesboro committed?
We were supposed to go Thursday night, but half the council's not going to be there, so they kind of pushed us off.
They've not committed yet either?
They seem very positive.
Sure.
So we're anticipating.
But they have already committed the land.
They have committed the land. That has been approved. And we're actually sharing like the parking lot and some of that stuff, and they've already had to build up the ground, so that stuff's being done just because of the expansion of the school. So.
All right. Anything else for this group? Anything else for our committee?
I might mention that this Saturday, MTSU homecoming. It's not every day an SEC team comes to play football at Murphy Center, and MTSU has a real shot at winning this thing, and I hope everybody out there watching will come to that game. And I might be wrong, but it ought to be a good game to watch.
Very good.
Come and be true blue.
Thank you all again for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
If there's no more business, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
I can't remember when I